Hello writers, and welcome to another topic video. Very quickly before we start, my neighbour round the corner is having an extension done. Hopefully none of that sound will translate into the video. I'll try my best to keep it out. Today we are going to chat about something that a lot of writers struggle with finding or keeping sometimes, and that is motivation. How can we stay motivated as writers when writing is such a long road? Let's discuss. Motivation, for some writers, is an absolute battle. Constantly waiting for it, looking for it, trying to conjure it up from inside themselves. If that sounds like you, then hopefully this video can be of some help. I had this struggle too for a long time. I didn't think motivation was something I could create myself. I thought it's something that came along on its own that I had to wait for and either receive or not. I was always very passive to it, but you can actually actively create motivation within yourself. Creating it comes from asking yourself questions and seriously considering the answers, but it's actually far simpler than some people realize. The answer to the questions that can help with motivation, though, often get buried by an avalanche of other stuff that tends to eclipse it, namely, am I good enough? Is this all a waste of time because all the stories have already been written? How can I ever really finish a book? Surely that's way too big of a task. There's way too much work ahead. What if people don't like my work? What if I never improve? What if I fail? And on the list goes. Motivation is most often buried by doubt, and that's probably also why we sometimes procrastinate as well. Doubt, wondering, worrying. So what are the questions that you can ask yourself to make things simpler and easier? I asked myself all of the following questions, and now I never need to worry about motivation. For 2.5 years, I've been able to write for 5 days a week, apart from the last 3 months of last year. If you saw my update video, you'll know why. And so I'm really happy to have jumped back in and raring to go. So ask yourself these 3 questions and see how you feel. The first one is, why do you write? What made you pick up your pen or pencil or sit down at a keyboard for the very first time, and what made you keep coming back? What's different now? Do you feel the same excitement or rush? For some of us the answer is no, because we've overcomplicated things over time. So after you've asked yourself, why do you write? What is the one reason why you write stories? Ask yourself this. What is your writing dream? Some people say it's pointless to look far ahead, and in some ways that's right. It can be important to remain practical and realistic and grounded with writing sometimes because it's such a long path. Focusing on the current task at hand and breaking tasks down into more manageable chunks is a key to long-term project success. But that doesn't mean that you can't have dreams for your work. So what are yours? Mine is to one day walk into one of my local Waterstones bookshops, which is one of the biggest book chains here in the UK, and to see a book that I have written sitting on a shelf in there. Now, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but it's really fun to think about, and it makes me happy to imagine it, and it is perfectly okay to imagine that kind of thing as motivation. If you don't want to think of dreams and you want to think of something more manageable, you can think of goals if you prefer to be more realistic. So instead of asking what is your dream, ask what is your ultimate goal as a writer. The third question is the most important and is the one that led me to never really struggling with motivation again, even almost 3 years down the line. And it is this. Are you currently putting in enough effort to validate your dreams and your goals? Now that question might result in a more complicated response, and that's okay. I was annoyed with myself and kind of sad to find that my answer to that question was no. Why was I expecting to get the reward of reaching my goal without putting in the proper amount of work? I was barely writing. I was always making excuses not to write, telling myself I'd do it another day. So no wonder I wasn't getting anywhere. Now, the point of this question is not to suggest that you should be bending over backwards and spending every spare minute that you have writing and burning out. It's just to make you think whether or not writing is something that you want to make more of a priority in your life or not. It's okay if the answer to that question is no, and it's also okay if the answer to that question is yes. The answer is going to depend on your personal and original goals, of course. You know, if you write purely for fun and when you feel like it, as and when, and you're not concerned with publication, then that's completely fine and valid. You may already be completely and totally happy with how much writing you do, how much progress you make, and if that's the case, carry on with the fantastic work. But if you're not happy with it, the 3 questions that you've just asked yourself are key to deciding how you can change it, because no one else is going to come along and fix it for you. So the long of the short of it is, only you can write your story. No matter the format or the genre or anything else, only you can get it down on paper and turn it into a real thing that you can hold one day. But nothing is created without equal effort. That motivation becomes far easier when it goes hand in hand with discipline. Now, discipline doesn't have to mean what many people think it means. Discipline doesn't mean absolute precision or a strict writing schedule that can't be broken under any circumstances, that you're never allowed to change or have a break from. Discipline doesn't mean writing even when you feel ill and should be resting. It doesn't mean punishing yourself for not writing, and it doesn't mean putting so much pressure on yourself that you burn out and have a creative crash. Life is going to happen, circumstances are going to change, and that's inevitable, and we all kind of work with balancing that all the time. It is natural, it is normal, and it is completely acceptable. The truth is that discipline comes from one very simple thing. All discipline is having respect for your own words, your own promises, your own intent, respect for yourself. So show up when you say you will and commit to actually focusing. And the more you can do that, the more that your mind will trust that you will go and write when you say so. And the more, I'll do some writing tomorrow, actually means writing and not surfing social media or the internet or YouTube and distracting yourself. You'll get more done, you'll see more progress, and that in itself will lead to more motivation. It will build naturally. That is all discipline is. Doing as you're told when the person telling you to do it is yourself. So give some value to the words that you speak. You would value the words of a friend, help them out when they ask, do your best to fulfill your promise to them. So why don't we do this for ourselves as well? If you can master this, you'll make amazing progress. You won't need to wait for motivation, you'll be creating it yourself. Everyone has a different reason, one big reason that is enough to kick themselves into action. You just have to find what yours is and learn to show up for it. It might take a while. Sometimes you'll say you'll write and something will get in the way, and that's okay. So just start by aiming to show up more times than you bail. Go from there and just keep building. I can't wait to see what all of you achieve this year. I think you will all do fantastic and amazing things with your talents and your determination. Your stories are waiting to be read no matter what stage they're at right now. Still in your head, half on paper, collecting dust in a drawer. One day, if you finish them and take the risk of putting them out there, they will find their audience. One day you might be someone's favourite writer, and showing up to actually write is the first step. So I think all of you guys can do it. I believe all of you will do it one day. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. So what is your motivating force? Do you show up when you say you will? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one, which is coming in 2 weeks' time. Bye guys!